Florida's housing market is frozen solid. But something big is coming in 2026 that's gonna light the real estate market on fire. If you've been waiting to buy or wondering what's really holding this market back, you'll want to see this. Because one simple change could unlock billions in transactions and hand you a 3% mortgage while everyone else is stuck paying 6%. This isn't just a Florida problem. According to Bloomberg analysis, nationwide, only 2.8% of homes changed hands in the first 9 months of 2025. That's the slowest housing market we've seen in 30 years. Back in 2019, it was 40 out of every 1,000 homes. Now, it's barely 28. That's a frozen market. The biggest reason? Locked-in interest rates. In the U.S., over 70% of homeowners are sitting on a mortgage under 5%. That's not just low. That's like having your own personal little gold mine. And those low rates are just sitting there clogging up the market. Because if you're paying 3%, you're not in a rush to sell. Why would you be? You're living in your house for way less than somebody buying that same house today. That mortgage is like a golden ticket, and nobody's giving it up. Now, add Florida's homestead tax law to the mix. If you've been in your house for a few years, your property taxes are capped. But the second you sell and buy a new place, your taxes reset to the current value, and they could double or even triple. So now it's not just, do I want to move? It's, do I want to give up my low payment and take on higher taxes? Most people look at that and go, no thanks. That's the real reason homes aren't moving. The market's not broken, it's stuck. Everyone's locked in. Nobody wants to sell. And buyers are left with what's left over. That's why everything's frozen. But there's still a ton of demand in Florida. People want to live here. It's paradise. They want a bigger house, better schools, nicer neighborhood. Whatever it is, they're ready. But there's one thing standing in their way. Today's mortgage rates. Let's say you bought a house 5 years ago for $750,000. That same place is now worth $1.3 million today. You'd think that gives you more options, right? But here's the problem. Buyers today aren't lining up for it. And it's not because the house is bad, it's because of what it costs to finance that house right now. At 3%, the monthly principal and interest payment on a $1.3 million home with 20% down is around $4,385. Not cheap, but manageable for a lot of people. Now, fast forward to today. Same house, same down payment, but now the rate's at 6%. That bumps your payment to about $6,235 a month. That's an $1,850 jump every month for the same exact house. Everything's the same, just a way bigger payment. And here's where it really hurts. If your income doesn't support that extra $1,800 a month, the bank's not going to give you the loan. It's not about what you want, it's about what you qualify for. So now you're stuck. You want to move, but the numbers don't work. That extra 3%, it's not just a small bump. It's a deal killer. And when people run the numbers and see how far their money doesn't go anymore, they stop trying. They stay put. They feel stuck. And the move-up market, the part that usually keeps everything flowing, just dries up. And sellers aren't dumb. They know what they got, but they're not budging either. A lot of them still think their house is worth what it was when money was cheap. That $750,000 place that looked like a deal at 3%? At 6%, that price doesn't fly anymore. Buyers are backing off, but sellers aren't lowering the price because they don't want to feel like suckers. Their neighbors sold for $80,000 over asking 3 years ago, and they still expect that kind of number. They're thinking, Why should I drop the price now when I know people still want to move here? And they're not wrong. Sellers know there's still huge demand in Florida. They see all the buyers on the sidelines just waiting. They see the millionaires and billionaires moving here, and they know why. It's the weather, it's the taxes, it's the governor, and it's the laws. And they also know people from California and New York City are still showing up because they can buy the same house here for half the price. So, yeah, sellers believe the demand's still there, and they're not panicking. They got low payments, locked-in rates, and plenty of equity. That's why they're holding firm. The problem is the average Florida buyer. They're still getting crushed by interest rates. Even if they want the house, they can't afford to overpay or just flat out can't afford it. Period. So sellers sit, buyers sit, everyone waits, and the market stays frozen. If you're finding this breakdown crucial, tap that subscribe button to Housing Intel. This is the kind of market intelligence that gives you an edge. Now, here comes the big swing. Everyone's asking, how do we fix this frozen housing market? And the first idea getting thrown around is the 50-year mortgage. Sounds helpful, right? Lower monthly payment, longer term. Maybe it helps first-time buyers get in the game. But let's be real. That's a huge win for the banks and a small short-term win for the buyer. It doesn't bring down prices. It doesn't make homes more affordable. It just makes the payment look better on paper. You're not building equity faster. You're just stretching out the debt for most of your life. That's not the answer. That's just another way to keep people in payments forever. Here's what it actually looks like. On a $700,000 purchase price, with a 20% down payment at a 6% interest rate on a 30-year fixed loan, your monthly payment is about $3,357, and you'll pay almost $650,000 just in interest over the life of the loan. Now stretch that same loan to 50 years at the same 6%. Your payment drops to about $2,948. It's cheaper, but now you're paying around $1.208 million in interest. That's around $560,000 more, just in interest for the same house. So yeah, the monthly payment's a little easier, but you're stuck in that loan for 20 extra years, and you're just about handing the bank a second home in interest. That's not a solution. That's a trap. Because according to the National Association of Realtors, the median age for first-time homebuyers in the U.S. is now 40. So if you lock in a 50-year mortgage, you'll be making payments till you're 90. That's not a bad deal. That's a horrible retirement plan. But there's one thing that'll actually work and blow the market wide open, and that's assumable loans. And it's coming. Bill Pult, who's now the Director of Federal Housing, posted on X that at Fannie and Freddie, they are evaluating how to do assumable or portable mortgages in a safe and sound manner. And look, he's a guy that can actually get this done. This would be a total game changer. So, what's an assumable loan? It means instead of the buyer getting a brand new mortgage, they just take over the seller's existing loan. Same balance, same interest rate, same terms. Here's why that's huge. Let's say someone's selling a $700,000 house. They got a $500,000 mortgage at a 3% interest rate, and it's assumable. You as the buyer step in and take over that $500,000 loan at that same 3% rate for the rest of the loan term. That's locked in. Doesn't matter if rates go to 8%. You got 3%. That alone is massive. Now, you still owe that other $200,000. But let's say you're putting 20% down, which is $140,000. That leaves just $60,000 left to cover. You take out a second loan for that part. So instead of borrowing the full $700,000 at 6%, like most buyers right now, you got $500,000 at 3%, $60,000 at a higher rate, and a nice down payment in place that makes the monthly numbers actually work. Now, this is just an example. You're going to have closing costs and fees mixed in, but you get the idea. This would unlock that 70% of mortgages in the U.S. that are sitting below 5%, and finally get things moving again. Even if just a fraction of those became assumable, it would open up a whole new inventory of homes buyers can actually afford. And here's the best part. When you go to sell down the road, the next buyer could take over that same 3% loan from you. That low rate becomes part of the house. It's not just a place to live, it's a built-in advantage. Now, stack that with what's being pushed, getting rid of property taxes on your primary home in Florida. And boom! You just knocked out the two biggest things keeping people stuck. High interest rates and high taxes. That's not just a small fix. That's how to light this market on fire. Hit subscribe if you want weekly insights like this delivered straight to you. So, what does all this mean for you? Start paying attention. If assumable loans go wide, and many experts think they will, that's your window. Look for listings that say assumable mortgage or seller financing. That's where the real value is going to be hiding. Because here's the deal. If you're a seller sitting on a 3% mortgage and you can offer that to a buyer, you got serious leverage. That thing's going to stand out. You're going to get multiple offers. You might even get over asking just because of the financing. And if Florida actually pulls off the no property tax move, forget it. The market's going to light up. You're going to wish you bought before that wave hit. Back in 2016, a rental property purchased for $65,000 seemed overpriced to many. Some said the next crash was coming, and they'd wait to grab the same kind of house for $25,000. Well, that crash never came. That same property sold a few years later for $170,000. Those who waited are still on the sidelines, still waiting. That's why the advice is always, don't try to time the market. Barry Habib, one of the top housing market analysts in the country, said it best. The only two things people don't buy when they go on sale are real estate and stocks. And he's right. When the market drops, that's when things are on sale. That's when the real deals get made. If you're buying a place to live in, just ask yourself one question. Can I see myself living in this home for the next 10 years? If the answer is yes, and you can afford it today, then go for it. Don't buy based on what you hope rates are going to do. Buy based on what works for your life right now. Chances are rates are going to come down and you can refinance. But more importantly, home values usually go up. 10 years from now, odds are you'll be sitting on equity, and you'll be glad you jumped in when everybody else is still waiting. The message is clear. Florida's frozen market isn't permanent. Assumable loans represent the structural change that could unlock billions in stalled transactions. Combined with potential tax reform, 2026 could mark the beginning of the biggest buying wave in years. Armed with this knowledge, you can position yourself strategically. You can spot the opportunities before they become obvious. You can secure financing that others don't even know exists yet. Knowledge is your greatest asset in a shifting market. So if this analysis opened your eyes, smash that like button right now. Subscribe to Housing Intel for weekly data-driven real estate intelligence that cuts through the hype. And drop a comment below. Are you waiting for assumable loans to go mainstream? Or are you buying now? We read every single one. We'll see you in the next breakdown, because sometimes knowing what's coming next is the best investment strategy of all.